By age 55, you're going to need to start setting some goals, starting to plan for retirement. So we're going to walk through a few of these and really just specific things that I walk through with clients to make sure they're on track and know what they are doing when it comes to their retirement years. And the first one is probably the biggest pet peeve we have, and that is know your numbers. Now, what numbers am I talking about? Well, there's quite a few different numbers that we want to know when it comes to this. The first one is, how much are you going to need to have an income for the retirement years? Or on the flip side of that, how much in expenses will you have each month or year in retirement so that we can solve for the income? Now, I just had a call with a client the other day and they were trying to figure that out a bit and they were struggling with a budget. And sure, it could be pretty easy for you to just kind of pencil and paper and write out some different expenses and list them all out. What you don't always get to account for, though, are the unexpected things that happen, such as potentially you've got to get an oil change or the tag or registration on your vehicle, or the car breaks down and you have to get a repair, the AC. Things like that are going to happen through the retirement years. And so a good idea to get at least a halfway calculated approach of this to factor in all of the potential things that do pop up as well as your general expenses would be to just take your monthly statements from your credit cards and from your bank accounts, add them all up, divide them by 12. This is extremely rough and not something that's going to be exactly to the T when it comes to your expenses, but it at least gives you some sort of baseline to start with to give you that idea. From there, you're going to want to figure out what age you actually want to retire. If you want to retire at 55, okay, well, you're there. Let's figure this out. If you're wanting to retire at 65, great. You've at least got some time on your side to start to now plan for that retirement and figure out what's the next steps to get there and to also really capitalize on the time you still have to work. Now, from there, we've got to figure out, though, if you have a pension or anything like that, making sure that you take the most money you can from these things or find the best opportunity. I say this, and this is kind of a weird one for some people because they say, well, I don't have a pension. I had a friend that was a firefighter, and prior to me getting into finance, I used to work as a firefighter as well, and he was guided by an advisor to leave his job just a touch earlier than what he should have. Because if he would have left at the age of 45, he would have had 25 years of service and gotten a pension the rest of his life. But because he left at 44 in 7 or 8 months, the advisor had advised him that it's all going to be okay. But what he didn't realize was that he had to go back to work and finish the 25 years that he needed, or he would have to wait until age 55 for his pension. Now, yours may be something like that scenario, or it may just be, hey, if I delay a couple more years, I'm going to get a lot more money. There's different things when it comes to the pensions and the cash balance plans, so just making sure you're knowing your numbers. Then you've got to think through your portfolio alignment. If you're retiring tomorrow, well, you're probably going to not want to be all in growth. But let's say that you're retiring at age 65. There's a good runway here if you're at age 55 to still have time to take advantage of market growth. Even if there's a dip, there's some opportunity here. Now, how you're going to position your portfolio will depend on how close you are to retirement. Though I say once you're 3 to 5 years out from retirement, you should start to at least be building up a conservative bucket. I like the idea of a 2-bucket strategy where you're looking at a conservative and a growth bucket. Now, sure, both of those are going to be diversified. It's not just that simple. But overall, if you're looking at things, let's just say that you got 50% that's in a conservative bucket, 50% in a growth bucket. That's going to at least simplify things a bit and mitigate a bit of the market risk when it comes to things if you were to have a large pullback right before retirement. Now, you do have to remember, though, if you're working with your 401k and it's all in your 401k, let's say that you retired at age 58. Well, if you're pulling from your 401k at age 58, the issue that you could have with this is if you have 50% stocks and 50% bonds, oftentimes a 401k is going to require you to pull equally from each of those. So let's say you need $1,000, you would have to take $500 from the bonds, $500 from the stocks. They're not going to let you pick and choose, which defeats the purpose of the 2-bucket strategy a bit. The third thing you've got to do is solve for healthcare. This is one that everybody is concerned about when it goes to retirement. They talk about things like, I'm going to have to work until I'm age 65 because I need to get on Medicare. That could be the case, but oftentimes it's not. It is the idea of making sure that you have factored this in, figure out where you're going to get healthcare from, because this is a derailer for a financial plan. If you have a catastrophic event that happens, and you don't have any sort of health care. There is the affordable care now that is out there. Some people we even know using things like a Medicare plan. Whatever the case is, you are going to have to make sure that you've solved for the health care. Talk to your employer. Maybe they have some kind of options there. If you're getting close to 65 years old, or that's the plan of when you want to retire, you may not have to worry about that as much, since you would then fall into the Medicare years. The fourth thing you've got to really think through is tax strategy. Tax strategy is one that should be thought about from the early years, but if you're age 55 and you're looking to retire in the next few years, this is not the time to forget about taxes. Because when you go into the retirement years, let's say that you retired age 65. Well, now on Medicare, you've got to watch out, because if you have too much income from Roth conversions, it could push you over into the IRMAA income limits, or IRMAA tax penalties, where you're going to pay more for your Medicare just because you have a higher income. Then when it comes to RMD years, or required minimum distribution years, you're going to have some issues there as well. So at age 55, this is a perfect time to start really looking and saying, does this make sense for me maybe now to start taking some of my pre-tax dollars, shifting them to after-tax dollars or tax-free dollars, pay the tax today, so then they'll continue to compound and grow tax-free throughout the retirement years. Finally, when you go to retire, you've got to have purpose. Now, I know that kind of sounds weird, but so many people retire and they feel a bit lost for a while, because for, let's just say 35 years, you've been getting up and doing the same thing every day and bringing home money and providing for your family, and there's a sort of purpose and sense of purpose in what you're doing there. But once you're retired, it's like, okay, I've got all this money there, but what am I doing with my life? I mean, you can only watch so much TV, golf, hunt, travel. There's a lot of things that are opportunities that you could do, but oftentimes people struggle because they don't have a sense of purpose. I've talked to a lot of different retirees. They've found various things that they're able to do, such as join local nonprofit boards, join the local Rotary Club, go and volunteer at different things, or, find something that you're passionate about. It may even be something as part-time work, something you've enjoyed. We have a client who comes to mind who told me they're going to go back and work at Starbucks. They have a couple $1 million they're looking to retire on, but they are excited to go and work at Starbucks part-time to give them something to do, because they said it's actually something they enjoy. So that's one that's not as common that people really think about when it comes to a retirement goal, but it is one that you really do want to start thinking about to make sure that you're enjoying your retirement years.